Okay, good morning class. So at this point we're looking at functions. I think we're on our second lesson today. And I gave you some homework to do, not so? Yes. So what was the homework? Exercise 5.1. Okay. Any issues with 5.1? Okay, this is basically your grade 10 sketching of graphs. It's 5.1. So no problems here. So you can work out the points of intersection. Sorry? Yes? Intersection.
Yeah, I know how to calculate one, but I don't know how to calculate this. Yeah.
Which one are you referring? Number 2 or number 3?
I think both.
Oh, both. Okay.
You can only do one because I'll get the second one.
Okay. So I'll do number 2B. Okay. So this is exercise 5.1. And this is on page 115. Okay, so it says calculate the points of intersection of the two graphs. The two graphs in question is y equals negative x squared plus 4 and y is equal to x plus 2. For the points of intersection, the two graphs are equal at that point. Okay, so in other words, we say the two graphs are equal to each other, so negative x squared plus 4x is equal to x plus 2. Take everything over to one side since it's quadratic. So x squared plus x minus 4, 2 minus 4 is minus 2. So this factorizes into 2 and 1. If you can't factorize, use the quadratic formula. So that gives me x is equal to minus 2 or x is equal to 1. Okay. Now to calculate the corresponding y value, because the question was for the points. So the point is going to be an x and a y, or coordinates. So this you can either substitute into the straight line or into the parabola, it doesn't matter. I'm going with the straight line, so y is equal to negative 2 plus 2, which is 0. So this coordinate is negative 2 and 0, whilst on the other hand, we have y is equal to 1 plus 2, which is 3. So that's going to be 1 and 3. If I had substituted into here, you see negative 1 squared would have been negative 1 plus 4 is 3. The same thing. When I put negative 2 in here, negative 2 open brackets, negative open brackets, negative 2 squared, which is negative 4, plus 4 is again 0. So I could have substituted into any one, either the straight line or the parabola. Provided you made no mistake here, the answer should be the same. Okay, anything else? You guys understand? Alright. Also coming back to this here, if I had drawn this graph, let me show you what it's going to look like. So if I had drawn this graph here, that of course, did I ask you to draw? Yes. So that's going to be negative 2 and 2, 4. And if I draw the other graph, the positive 2 graph will of course go through there. Not so. So that is y equals x plus 2, and the other one is y is equal to negative x squared plus 4. Now that points that we have calculated here, you see that is negative 2 and 0 here. Did you see that? Whilst this point here is 1 and 3. Now it should make sense to you. Can you see that, people? There we go. Often ask questions like if they ask if this was f and that was g, they would ask you where's f of x greater than g of x. So where's f on top of g? So you see here, the parabola was f and this is g. So is f on top of g here? No. It's on top here from there to there. Can you see that, people? So it's a continuous solution. So x is greater than negative 2 but less than 1. Okay, but you're going to do still a lot of this. Okay. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, I guess so.
Alright. So what else did I give you for homework?
5.2.
5.2. Right, 5.2 had a table and all of those things. You had to read through these things here, no? So did you, does it make sense what they're talking about?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so what happens is, what they try to highlight at this point is that if you got x squared, this is now out of exercise 5.2, this is on page 116. So it was a 5. Okay. They started off with x squared, not so. So the graph of y is equal to x squared look like that, not so. Remember that the turning point is going to happen at that on the y-axis, no? Right. Then they said, what was the next graph you had to draw? Y is equal to x minus 1, or is it plus 1 squared? Minus 1 squared. Then what did you notice? The graph moved over 1 unit. Not so. The same graph, shape of the graph is the same, but the graph moved over 1 unit. Not so. What was the next graph you had to draw? Y is equal to x plus 2 squared. When we drew that graph, this y is equal to x squared graph moved over in that direction 2 units. Not so? And so on and so on. Okay. So then it doesn't look this up, but lopsided, but it's exactly the same shape as the original graph, but the graph just moved over a bit there. Okay. And you did all of those things, and you read through that there, and the negative and all of those things. Spoke about the arms of the graph and all this. Then you had to make this what's the name on the graph, no? You had to make this summary. Okay? The effects of A and P on the graph, that the summary that you needed to make there. Okay, so now today we're going to look at sketching the parabolas. Okay, sketching of parabolas. Now, we can go with what you have done here. Okay? Then coming back in another lesson or two, we must re-explain how do you sketch the graph using the other method. So what I'm going to do is, at this point, I'm going to stop using the textbook, and I'm going to use my head now. Okay, all these, we're not using the explanation, in other words. So we're not going to go with turning point. The reason being because if the graph is given in the equation of the parabola is given in standard form, which is y equals ax squared plus bx plus c. That's the standard form of your parabola graph. Then we must first apply the completing of the square form to get it in the form of y is equal to ax minus b squared plus b. Okay, which means to say we must complete the square. So what happens is, what we have noticed over the years was the learners can do the parabola graph. They know how to draw it. But they can't, or they find, if they make a mistake here, getting it in the form of the completing of the square, that is challenging for them, for most of them. Okay. So what I did was, I just explained it using the form y is equal to ax squared plus bx plus c. So your heading for today is sketching the graph, or sketching the parabola in the form of y equals ax squared plus bx plus c. And that is your standard form of the graphs you're going to look at now. Okay. And now going through all of these exercises here, and this explanation, they come across the explanation that your turning point can actually be calculated. Okay? Using the formula minus b over 2a. Okay, which is basically your axis of symmetry. Okay. But we, as you know, we don't have the time now to go through all of these things because we are pressed for time now, as you know. But you guys are almost doing nothing about it, especially the fact that I asked you to do work that you didn't. You had to almost study or go watch the videos on the other section, isn't it? Other stats. Yes, you guys failed the test. How can you say you did it? Okay, so right, parabolas. So for the parabola, there are 5 steps in which we draw the parabola graph. 5 steps. Okay, for grade 10 I think there was 4 steps, no? Here we're going to add in the turning point. So the 5 steps are as follows. Number 1, you're going to look at the shape of the graph. Again, if this A value is positive, the graph is smiling. If A is less than 0, the graph is rounding. Number 2, X-intercept. What do you do for X-intercept? Let Y equal to 0. Number 3, Y-intercept. What do you do for Y-intercept? Let X equal to 0. Number 4 is our turning point. To work out the axis of symmetry of the turning point, or the X value of the turning point, it's going to be minus B over 2A. And number 5, sketch or draw the graph. Right. Write those 5 steps down, and that are the steps we're going to follow to draw this graph. Right. So let's look at an example. Let's use the graph y equals 2 into x minus 1 squared minus 8. Let's go with that graph. Y is equal to 2 into x minus 1 squared minus 8. So what's the first thing we need to do? You must get it in the form of y equals ax squared plus bx plus c. So do that quickly. You know how to multiply out, no? Sorry? You can. No? But do I want you to multiply? Yes? Multiply it out, don't worry. Later on I'll show you can do it without multiplying it. Okay. Why can't you do it now? Because you don't know in which form it's given to you in the exam. Because most of the time it's given in this format here. In this format. Yes. So we're going to get it in that form. Then we're going to draw a relation between the two later on in our next lesson. Or towards the end of this lesson. Oh, so you think I don't know what I'm doing? Okay.
No, sir, I know what you're doing.
Just that you think you can do better. Nice, I like
No,
it.
sir.
I love it. So sweet of you. Alright. So what do we get? Y equals 2x squared minus 4x minus 6. Okay. So what's the first thing? Shape. So what will the shape of this graph be? Smiley. Let's draw. Smiley. Wicked. No? Secondly. What do we do secondly? X-intercept. What do you do for X-intercept? With y equal to 0. So do your thing. Okay, so what do we get? 0 equals 2x squared minus 4x minus 6. Not so? So when you factorize that, you get 0, we get x squared minus 2x minus 3. Now, if you are a person that can't factorize a trinomial, don't keep yourself brave. Use the quadratic formula. Okay. Looks like you're using quadratic formula already.
So, but you have to divide by 2.
No. You go straight into quadratic formula. No? So what your x values work out to be what? Positive 1 or x equal to negative, can't be 2. It's 3 years. You all agree with that? Right, do number 3. What's number 3? Y-intercept. What do you do for Y-intercept? Let x equal to 0. So do that. I'm going to put a 1 here and start labeling these equations. Number 1. Alright. So what does this give us? Y equals 2 times 0 squared minus 4 times 0 minus 6, which is negative 6. Not so? Now, to work out your axis of symmetry, or your turning point, son, we said you're going to use the axis of symmetry, which is minus b over 2a. And it will always be that. Okay? If you're that kind of girl that wants to know everything, no? We know there's some of us among some of you guys that's like it. You always want to know everything. You can work through those exercises that we skipped. Okay? And then you can find out who the daddy is. Okay? Where he come from. Yes? Sorry? Negative 1 and 3. That is actually correct. Now who gave me this wrong answer? Punch it in again. If it gives you the same wrong answer, you bring it to me. Okay? So punch it in quickly. But it's fine. Right. So minus b over 2a. Now your b value here is what? Negative 4. Your a value is 2. So you go minus b, which is negative 4 over 2 times 2. So that's going to give you 4 over 4, which is 1. So this is the x value of the turning point. You guys understand? So what do we do with this? We sub it back into the original function. So we say y equals 2 times 1 squared minus 4 times 1 minus 6. Do the substitution. Okay, so what does this give us? Negative 8. So the turning point of this graph is going to be 1 and negative 8. Okay. You all agree with that? I'm going to put here graph 1. Okay, so with it I can now draw the graph, not so? Right. So let's draw. So the first thing we draw in is our axis, not so? Your y and your x axis. Alright, now plot the points that you have on the graphs. Okay. Guys, have plotted everything already? No? Okay. So let's go. The first thing we're drawing is our X-intercepts. Not so. So X-intercept is negative 1 and 3. What do you notice? I'm doing it by approximation. Okay? So when you approximate on your graph, you're not going to have negative 1 and 3 like it. Not so. More or less approximation. Okay. If you're a girl that can't approximate, no problem. Now you make that strips on your graph. Okay. Remember, in our mind's eye, this graph is a smiling graph. It has a minimum value, not so. Right. So we've got minus 1 and 3. Got a y-intercept of negative 6. So it's going to go the bottom here, not so. Y value of minus 6. Okay? You all okay with that? Then you have an axis of symmetry of x is equal to 1. Now when we draw in the axis of symmetry, it's a dotted line. Why? Because this is not actually part of the graph, but it's a guide to the shape of the graph. Okay? Draw that in. Okay, so on the line of x is equal to 1, it turns at negative 8. So it's less than negative 6, not so. So it's 1 and negative 8. Yes? Yes? It was your guide on the graph.
So it's not really more.
If the asymptote is not, the axis of symmetry is not there, and your graph is lopsided, it will penalize you. But if you can draw a perfectly symmetrical graph without that, it's fine. Okay. Girlfriend, I'm waiting for your calculation.
There's somebody in the wrong. Because I said, yeah.
Right, so what do we have? From the turning point, we draw. Graph is going to go through here. You all agree with that? And then from the starting point, and there we go. Right, you guys got it? Anybody that's confused? No, okay. So now, I want you guys to leave a few lines open, okay? So if you had drawn this on one page, you turn the page, you do another graph. Okay. We're going to leave that space for interpreting these graphs. We're going to talk about less than, more than, increasing, decreasing, all of those things we're going to talk about, okay? Yes? You will think that you're wasting space, but you won't. You're going to use all that space. So turn the page, we're going to do another graph. Graph 2. Graph 2's equation is the girl getting a bit nervous with the graphs. Huh? You got negative 2 into the graph we're drawing is y is equal to negative 2 into x minus 3 plus 8. That's a graph. We use the 5 numbers summary. Sorry. I'm busy setting your paper 2 in my head here, you see? Oh, many of you don't know what I'm talking about. Nice. Yes? You use the one, your top part of the page, draw the graph and your calculation. Let's see. You use the whole page. And then you write the interpretation of the one graph here, and the other graph here. So you can also write. Yes? Yes, sis. Correct. Looks like you're going to be the top student in this part of the work. I like it. You see, we're already helping the one girl break. Was it you or somebody else? Nice, nice. Welcome to the class. No? You knew you. No. And you're helping the older people. And been longer here. You were from Mr. G? Yeah. Nice. That's what I must mean. Okay. People, there's the next graph. Do your thing. Yes?
So you said if your graph is lopsided, then you're going to lose a mark.
But draw the axis of symmetry in, then we won't realize.
Also, even if it's lopsided, it's
Yeah.
fine.
Huh? No, don't do it and see it outside. Right, so you guys multiplied it out. You get y equals negative 2x squared minus 6 plus 12x. That's minus 9 minus 10. Is that correct? Right. For now, put the f of x in front of this. Ne? F of x equals. Okay, you'll see later on why. Not today, but next week, the first lesson next week. Finish. Halfway. Right, so first things first. Number one, the shape. The shades. Yes. Maximum, yes. Number two, X-intercept. We left. Y equal 0. So 0 equals negative 2x squared plus 12x minus 10. X works out to be 1 and 5. You all at this point already?
Yes.
You put it properly in to your calculator now. Right. You all okay with that?
Yes.
Thirdly is up. Y-intercept. What do you do for Y-intercept? We let x equal to 0. So we go, y is equal to negative 2 times 0 squared plus 12 times 0 minus 10, which is negative 10. You all with me there?
Yes.
I'm sure you all are busy now with the turning point.
Yes.
Alright, so I'll give you another minute to sort that out. Right? Turning point consists of an axis of symmetry, which is minus b over 2a. Not so? Which is negative 12 over negative 2a. Negative 12 over 2 times negative 2, which is, will be 4. No, 3. 3, yes, 3. Okay, which now gives us y is equal to negative 2 times 3 squared plus 12 times 3 minus 10, which is 9 is 18. 36 minus 10 gives you 8. Is that correct? So what's the coordinates of the turning point? 3 and? You all agree with that? Did you guys draw the graph already? No? So do your thing. That draw? Are you still busy? Right, let's draw quickly. Graph 2. What you said? You said the bell rang. Okay, here we go. What are your x values?
1 and 5.
X is 1, y and 5. Not so? And you have a y-intercept of? Negative 10. Okay, all agree with that? And then? The turning point, you first throw in your axis of symmetry, which is 3. Now you see that will happen midway between the two intercepts. Can you see that? X-intercepts. And it turns at 3 and 8. Not so? So from the turning point I draw. Okay, you all agree with that? Who's confused? You all got that. Right, for homework. You guys draw for me the following graphs. So you name it. Graph 3, 4, 5, and 6. So you got f of x equals you draw for me the 5 into x plus 1 squared plus 20. Oh wait, start off with minus 20. Then you draw f of x equals minus 5 into x plus 1 squared minus 20 plus 20. F of x equals minus 5 into x plus 1 squared minus 20. Now this graph won't cut the x-axis. Okay, so you might come across that later on. This graph will look something like that. It won't cut the x-axis. Or the second one is going to look something like that. Okay? So just take it away. And then f of x equals 5 into x plus 1 squared plus 20. Okay? I could have changed this x plus 1 to x minus 1. But there's something I want to speak about on Monday with regards to that as well. Okay? The relationship that exists. Very important, you do all 4 graphs for Monday. We are going to go through all 4 of them again. Okay? Then we're going to interpret these graphs. People enjoy the weekend. Good morning, class. Morning, yes.
So yesterday, tomorrow, right? Extra classes.
Where?
Is it?
For who?
No, sir.
I'm confused.
Sir,